Hey folks, Brendan here from the Interview Hacker. Now let me ask you a question. If you're job hunting or you're planning out your next move or your future career plans, how much time are you actually investing in preparing for the process? Now the reason why I ask this is because research by the Reed Recruitment Agency demonstrated that people spend more time preparing their dinner than they do in actually preparing for the thing that's going to be occupying over a third of their working life. You see, whilst you're at work, that's 1/3 of your life, and actually more of that is going to be spent actually thinking about work. But it's one of those things we procrastinate over, we leave it until another time, or because we just don't know what to do, we just put it to one side and hope for the best, because everyone tells us that, just act naturally, just be yourself and you'll be fine. Get a carefully crafted CV put together and send it to as many employers as possible, and at some point you'll hit lucky and you'll be invited for an interview. That's not the way it works, folks. It's not the way it works. You see, I should know, over 2 decades ago, I failed miserably at 2 interviews that I succeeded at getting, and I swore that was never going to happen again. So what I did was I developed a series of systems and processes and structures that enabled me to pass every interview I went for after that and every assessment process. This isn't about producing canned answers or pre-rehearsed answers that you can just pick up and use yourself. Employers can work this out. Look, they're savvy people. The people who are interviewing you are there for a reason, and they know a canned response when they hear it. So over the past couple of decades, I've been supporting and helping people in that very strong niche area of the police. Almost 8,000 people are now in the police as a result of my support. But something really interesting has happened as well. Hundreds of people over the past couple of years have succeeded in achieving other roles in other sectors, from teachers, probation officers, admin, lecturers at university, Royal Navy, Royal Marines, US Navy. A huge variety of people who've succeeded using the structures and the processes that I've shown them. So I'd like to share some of those processes and structures with you at this very special webinar that I'm running. You'll be able to find a link to it below where you'll be able to register and spend an hour with me as I talk about 3 things that are so important. The first one is mindset. First one's mindset. See, the thing is, employers look for mindset over skills. Yes, they do. They'd much rather have someone who's got the right mindset and then they can develop their skills, as opposed to someone who's got all the right skills but a lousy mindset. So this is your opportunity at the interview and in your CV or application form to come across as someone who's got the right mindset. Because the thing is, your CV, and this is the second thing we're going to look at, your CV is you basically saying, I've got a solution to your problem. Because if they're interviewing someone for a role within their organization, it means that there's a gap there or there's a problem that needs solving, and you're the solution. So your CV needs to be tailored against the job description. This is what I need. That's the employer, this is what I need. And you should be, well, this is what I've got. And it should match exactly the job description. So this whole concept of having a CV that's beautifully crafted, well put together, but you just send it to all sorts of different employers and hope for the best, it's not going to work. So I'm going to show you what you need to do to ensure that your CV is up to speed as well. The last part, the really, really important part. Now, there's so much advice and guidance out there. I know that because in my research, I've looked at it, and I've got to say all the advice and guidance around the interview tends to be model answers. Now, I don't do model answers. And the reason why I don't do model answers is because employers can see through them. Listen, this is just a conversation with a purpose. You may think of it as this interview, and of course, it's a pivotal moment in your life because it's going to determine who you work for the next several years, perhaps for the next few decades. You could meet your future partner there. You're going to develop friendships. It's so, so important. So I get that. It's a pivotal moment. But for them, they're looking for someone who can solve their problem. Their problem is a vacancy that needs filling or something that requires your skills to ensure that they can succeed further as an organization. So it's a conversation with a purpose, and they can tell a canned, rehearsed answer a mile off. A mile off. That's why they're in a position of being a recruiter or an interviewer. So we've got to make sure that we can deliver the best version of ourselves at this conversation. Think of it as a conversation with a purpose as opposed to an interview. We're going to deliver the best version of ourselves that we can through structures like this. The STAR structure is just not detailed enough. This will nail everything, this structure behind me, and I'll explain more about it in the webinar. I call it SALQ. You won't find it anywhere else. I developed it myself based on a number of different competency and values frameworks for a variety of different roles. So we're going to look at you coming across as the real, authentic and emotional you in a very detailed and structured way, in a way that's going to hack the interview process, because we're going to take a look at the job description, we're going to pull it apart and actually predict what the questions are going to be. Then you can practice for them so you come across as prepared as opposed to rehearsed. Does that make sense? If you come across as rehearsed, they're not going to employ you. You're too much of a risk, because they don't know if they're getting the real, authentic, emotional you, the real you that's got the right values, that's going to be able to, as one of my colleagues who I spoke to, who actually interviews people for the creative industry, said we're looking for people who can plug in, looking for people who can plug into our organisation. So that's what we're going to look at on this webinar. I'd be delighted if you can come and join me on it. Click on the link below, register. 1 hour on Tuesday the 15th of December 2020. It's going to be awesome. And if you're watching this and it's beyond the 15th, I'll replace the link with one where you can actually watch the webinar as a replay. So you'll still be able to learn from that webinar. You won't be able to interact because I won't be there. So my apologies for that. But if you are registering before the 15th of December, you'll get the opportunity to chat with me using the chat function in the webinar. It's okay, I'm not going to see you. It's one of those webinars where you'll see me and you'll see what I'm showing you. You'll be able to chat and link in with me, ask me questions. Be delighted to see you there. I'll speak to you very soon. Bye-bye for now.